What do you make of Katie Taylor's performance?
Do you know what?
In Dublin?
I thought she rolled back the years, if I'm totally honest. It was a fight that I didn't think she was going to win. I thought that Chantel Cameron in return. Chantel Cameron won the first fight. I think that she used her strengths, her attributes to her strengths. You know, she was, just bulldozed her in that first fight. In the second fight, I thought Katie would get drawn into a fight, but the only way that she was going to win the fight was if she stayed disciplined, stuck to what she had to do, and that's exactly what she done. She boxed beautifully. I think she fought when she had to fight, but ultimately she kept that range. She controlled the distance, and she won. And another fantastic fight for women's boxing, really was.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a well-deserved victory, and I wasn't sure at 37 years of age she could do that and turn that around, but she wound back the clock a little bit. I thought it was great. You, Simon?
Very much so. I did think that some of the scoring was a bit off. I do think scoring at 98-92 from one of the judges was poor.
Yeah.
I do think that the knockdown not being counted was absurd because it was a legitimate knockdown.
Well, it didn't actually land, though. That's probably, it landed on the glove. So I've seen it from a few different angles.
Okay.
And what happened is Katie's footing was wrong, and the shot admittedly landed. It landed on the front of the glove, which took her down, but it didn't actually land on her face. And I think that's where the referee may have made that decision. So, I mean, look, it's up for debate, that was. And for me, I'm with you. I think you couldn't argue two rounds to Katie Taylor.
The referee also allowed Katie to hold a lot, which I was surprised by. I think there's a very good case and a very legitimate case for a third.
Oh, absolutely. You'd want to see that, definitely.
I would think so. Spencer, you, I think, were at the press conference yesterday, am I right? Michaela Meyer is going to step up to welterweight to challenge the IBF champion, Natasha Jonas. We spoke to Natasha just the other day. This will be in Liverpool on Saturday, January the 20th. And then there was a bit of toing and froing in the build-up to it. The subject matter being going from 2 to 3 minute rounds. Have a listen.
I wanted 3 minute rounds for this fight because my IQ level has grown, and I want to make it, more of a technical boxing fight and more strategy. I want time to play out that strategy that I know I can do, and that I think elite boxers show in a 12-round fight or a 3 minute fight.
I didn't ever know, to be fair. Sorry.
I was hoping you would say that. Actually, I was hoping you would say that because now there's still plenty of time.
Look, I think there's a huge debate around 2 minutes and 3 minute rounds. I think Tasha's boxed at 2 minutes for the past all her world title fights. For me, it's the most exciting format at the moment. I think to have this level of interest in women's boxing and to be able to open a year like next year with a fight like this, it's incredible. And I think a lot of that is down to the entertainment that women's boxing is providing right now. I think it's on a phenomenal trajectory, and I think a lot of it comes down to the explosiveness of the rounds, and I think that's something that we want in Liverpool in January.
So it was you, Ben.
I think it was me, yeah. Listen, if Tasha was insistent and wanted to do 3 minute rounds, we'd be open to it, but we want the best spectacle
I
we can in
promise you
January.
that give us 3 minute rounds and you'll still get that work rate, you'll still get that pace. The important thing is that this is such a big topic right now, and this is the generation of women that can make that transition. Girls like me and Tasha, and we're already coming together to make this fight happen at our level. And if we don't do it, we can't expect any change. We are the ones that have to do it.
Spencer, just listening to that, I wonder if this is going to be the fight that's the forerunner, if you like, for women's boxing going from 2 to 3 minute rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, interestingly, I interviewed Michaela and I interviewed Tasha as well. Michaela said, oh, yeah, of course, that's the fight that I wanted. I wanted the 3 minute rounds. Tasha said she didn't know anything about it, which what we just heard from Ben Schlom there. I think he kept that to himself because he feels it's a safer option for Tasha to be boxing 2 minutes as opposed to 3. I mean, that extra minute may not sound like a lot, but if you've been involved in those sort of fights, 2 minute rounds, 3 minute rounds, are like that is the difference between winning and losing. Use Cole Frotch as an example when he boxed Jermaine Taylor over in the States in his first defence of his title, a fight that he was losing for 11 rounds and won the fight in the 12th round in the final 30 seconds. I mean, that is the difference between winning and losing.
Well, you could bring it more recently, couldn't you? You could bring it to the Michael Connell Lee Wood fight.
Exactly that. So, I mean, look, it would make a huge difference. The girls want it. I know that for a fact.
And that's key.
No, it's key. I mean, it will be... You will get different entertainment there for sure. You'll get a lot more knockouts, and that's that's.
Is that what the women's fight game, Simon, has been resisting? Seeing knockdowns because it might be distasteful to see.
I think the optics of it have been that way, but women's boxing is of its own volition now. It's standing on its own 2 feet, and you've got events like the Katie Taylor fight on the weekend, where this woman is a national hero in that country, and Matchroom and her put on a fight and a spectacle and an environment and atmosphere that would rival the men's, not just because of the wow factor that Ben put on when Clarissa Shields fought Savannah Marshall, but for a different feeling. So if you move into the 3-minute rounds, you start to see more things that are happening in men's boxing, more knockdowns, more knockouts. And I think the optics have changed. And I think people have now priced it in that women's boxing is here, it's significant, it's serious, and it's capable enough to be able to do it.
It shouldn't be down to the promoter. It should be down to the women fighting.
Absolutely, and I think both girls do actually want that. But I'm of the feeling of, I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I just think with women's boxing and the fights that we get with these 2-minute rounds and whatnot, and I do think that it's tighter and sometimes more difficult to score the fights and whatnot. But I just think that what they've got there and the format that they've got there for women's boxing, the 2-minute rounds, works. So why do we really need to change it? I think
you had Michaela Mayer saying it.
I think maybe it could be, optional. And I think that, if girls decide, I think it has. But it has done.
You can't do that.
They have had fights before at 3-minute rounds. Simon.
Yeah, but you can't have a competition where one set of fights are at 2 minutes, one set of 3 minutes. You can't have.
Well, where would you go? Would you go 2 minutes or 3-minute rounds? I mean, what would you prefer to see as a fan?
3 minute.
You'd prefer 3 minutes?
When I was watching Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, I'm looking at the fight develop, I'm looking at the rounds of it, I'm looking at Savannah trying to get into the rounds and then starting to get into the rounds at the back end of the round. I'm thinking, bang, she needs another minute in each round to get herself into these fights.
Or she could have got knocked out.
Savannah, not against Clarissa Shields.
Maybe not Savannah, but that's what could happen in that third or 3 minutes.
But the tragedy of the sport that we all appreciate is that is what is on the price for the ticket. That's what people want to see. Yeah. They love the pugilistic art, but they love, if you look at the great box, they want to see people getting knocked out.
But I think going deeper than that, actually, I think that they've done women's boxing over 2-minute rounds as well, because I think the bone structure is different, the skull,
well, Nicola Adams did it, didn't she?
Yeah, the thickness of the skull is different and whatnot. So I think
but then again,
from the safety
aspects,
they went for the 2 minutes.
So whilst they're constructed differently, the power generation is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whatever way you look at it, though, Michaela Mayer will step up to welterweight. And it's on Saturday, at the end of January the 20th in Liverpool, and she's up against the IBF champion, the very popular Natasha Jonas.